Hi, this is Daniel Alpine, animation historian, and welcome to a new episode of Animation Memory Lane. What cannot be denied, even by a Disney fan, is that the era of the 2000s wasn't too kind to Disney's feature animation. Sure, a few of the films that includes Atlantis the Lost Empire and even The Emperor's New Groove and Treasure Planet went on to become cult hits. Still, their box office and theaters either underperformed or flat out bombed, as Treasure Planet did. And sure, Lilo and Stitch was a hit. Still, Disney found it very difficult to survive in this new century at first. It was around this time that the Disney executives decided to make a rather foolish decision that the problem wasn't the stories, the problem was that they were still using 2D traditional animation, which was not the problem, but still, the executives decided that since the computer animated films from Pixar and DreamWorks were hits and outgrossed whatever Disney had done at that time, it was thought that perhaps the future is computer animation. But before we continue, please remember to give a thumbs up and to subscribe to the channel for more content. In 2001, Emperor's New Groove director Mark Dindal had pitched to Disney the idea of an animated feature based on the classic folk tale, often called Chicken Little. The initial story for this retelling was a lot different than what would be eventually released. In the first version, Chicken Little was actually a female chicken that was very paranoid and often caused problems between her and her father, and she soon wished to change, and in that she joined a summer camp to learn to be more confident. But it was there that she discovered an evil plan by a literal wolf in sheep's clothing, and she had to stop it. But when the Disney executives, in particular Michael Eisner, saw this early version, he saw that it wasn't working. In his mind, when you're a female, being little isn't a problem, but when you're a male, you're made fun of because of it. It was decided that the character of Chicken Little would be a male character instead. Another Disney executive, David Staten, also thought the film wasn't working, and it was decided to rewrite it, and instead, Chicken Little had to stop an alien invasion from destroying his town. Another decision was halfway through production of the film that it should be computer animated, and well, while a few of the traditional animators were laid off, others decided to learn computer animation and worked on this film. That included Ruben Aquino and Nick Ranieri. While Disney did release a computer animated film from their department, Dinosaur in 2000, this was their first one to be all computer animation since Dinosaur was a mixture of live action and animation. And also, the animation for this film was to be different, in which it was to be more cartoony, similar to the old Disney cartoons of the 40s and 50s. And that the principle of squash and stretch was used throughout the film. After all that, Chicken Little was released in November of 2005, and sure, it did well at the box office despite not really doubling its budget in the US. Still, it was the success that Disney was desperate for. But as for its critical reception, the reviews were very mixed. Roper and Ebert put it in the best possible way that it doesn't matter what kind of animation the film used, it all comes down to the story, and in this, the story did not work at all. The film is still Disney's lowest scored animated film on Rotten Tomatoes, and what's amazing is that it was the last Rotten scored Disney film until 2023's Wish. And whether or not you think that Wish was worse is up to you. But even so, Chicken Little is still considered one of the worst Disney animated films ever made, and is considered on par with The Black Cauldron, which to me is a reasonable comparison. Another point of criticism for the film was how mean spirited it was, in particular the characters, and of course the character of Buck Cluck, Chicken Little's father, and how unsupportive he was of his own kid. Another aspect of Chicken Little that was criticized was that it was Disney's answer to DreamWorks' Shrek, because, as we all know, the 2000s was the height of Shrek's popularity, and Disney tried to capture its lightning in a bottle through telling a spoof of a classic story that was a comedy. But in contrast, this didn't really work as Shrek did. So while Chicken Little is still considered a dud, it did help in its own way to let Disney know that they had to really step up their output. And under the new leadership that occurred when John Lasseter took over as chief creative officer of Disney in 2006, he helped bring Disney out of its slump and into what was called the Disney Revival, which lasted from The Princess and the Frog to Frozen 2. Today, director Mark Dindal has expressed his dissatisfaction with the film and that he wished that he had went with his original version of the story. And this will be his last time directing until 2024's The Garfield movie. But what do you out there think about the movie Chicken Little? Are you on the side of Disney fans that consider it the lowest point of the studio, or do you enjoy it? Leave your opinion in the comments below. This is animation historian Daniel Alpine, and I'll see you next time.